Do you think audiences realize how lucky they have it now between guys like you doing things like that and people doing full albums and, multi-night celebrations like Metallica was doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's the point of view that the audience has it lucky as a result, but ultimately everybody has to sort of surf with the way that things go, and the industry is no longer in the position where, Poison can put out, an album with like a single sleeve insert and sell 25 million records. It just doesn't work anymore. So, I think you've got the option of either complaining about that and crying foul, or just trying to coast with it. And what ultimately seems to engage people, I know what engages me, is if you're offered something that you want to participate in. It's like if you get a re-release from a label that is like a different font. I don't think that, I think there was a period there where you can cash in on that, but now I think people are like, no, I'll just download it. I'm not going to put the effort into it. So I find that the audience that I have, and I've been very fortunate in terms of audience, is that I think they've historically kind of recognized the effort, and as a result of that, they've extended themselves in ways that there's no need for them to have had to do, right? And I think that's really, really cool, man. I think it's really gratifying, and it's been integral into my whole world, right? So,
have you ever thought about chucking everything and pulling a Danny Elfman and just doing movie scores?
Of course. The phone, I have to be perfectly honest, isn't ringing off the hook for me to do movie soundtracks, right? So, I think if that's what fate has in store for me, man, I'll know about it, right? But at this point, I keep looking at the answering machine to see if Tim Burton wants me to make a movie soundtrack, but so far it's failed to ring.
Speaking of visual media, have you done anything with the Metalocalypse guys lately, or?
No, I did the 1 or 2 shows with them, right? And I thought it was really cool, right? But
Yeah.
They got their own trip going on there, and they're certainly doing fine without me, if you know what I mean.
All right, here's a goofy question. I was aware of your work before I really knew who you were, and I used to crank Frontline Assembly stuff way back in the 90s. I was always wondering about your guitar work on there. Was that a way to get around sampling or something?
Yep, that was that. That was sort of an interesting situation as well because, Frontline are from Vancouver. We're from Vancouver. But Reese and Bill had done the Fear Factory, Fear is the Mind Killer EP at the time. That was like a pretty big thing at the time, right? It was one of the first really sort of hip metal industrial kind of crossover sort of things in my recollection, right?
Yeah, college kids were playing it, and it kind of had this crossover appeal, yeah.
Totally. And so when they were going to do, I think was it Millennium or what was the first one that they did that I was involved with? I forget.
I remember Millennium was the one that
the sort of brownish color. Yeah, it was Millennium.
Yeah.
So they flew Dino up to play guitar on it.
Ah.
Fear Factory. But they stopped him at the border and wouldn't let him through. And so Dino recommended me, and then, there it was.
Thanks for delving back into early 90s territory with me.
Yeah, that was a very, even more awkward period than I'm in now, to be honest.
So another question is Epicloud going to be part of a multi-phase 4-album streak again, or are you just going to take it one thing at a time now?
Yeah, Epicloud is unto itself, man. In
Nice.
a way, the summary of the last 4 records, it kind of, like we discussed earlier, from the lyrical standpoint, or even from the musical standpoint, there's elements of all 4 records sort of presented in Epicloud, but it's definitely unto itself, man. The whole multi-themed sort of thing. I think you can get away with that once or twice, but more than that, you end up turning into Marillion or something,
sure.
Right? And my love for AC/DC or Def Leppard is definitely going to win out at this point of life versus, well, this is a 15-part saga about, a lonely gnome that's wandering it's like...
How about a 3.5-minute rock song, yeah.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at, man.
Yeah.
I've done the Bill Code, I've done the big epic journey up my own ass, I've done it. And I just kind of want to write some rock songs now. I don't know what to tell you.
So what's the deal with your guitar situation? What are you playing nowadays?
I'm playing 3 companies because I'm a whore.
I was going to say, you're a man whore.
Yeah, I am, but at the same time, I can't afford to buy them. But I've discussed it with all 3 companies, and they gave me the go-ahead. And, man, I got the greatest guitars in my world right now. We jammed yesterday. I was just like, God damn, this shit's good, man. So Peavy's made me the big 7-string V, and that thing rules. A 7-string guitar, I love that thing. Framus is making me these hollow body guitars that I put EMG pickups in, so it still sounds like metal. But dude, the quality of those guitars, it's absurd.
Yeah, I saw a promo pic, I think, for the new album, and it looked like you were playing one of those. It looked like an old hollow body Gibson, but badass and futuristic.
That's it. But dude, like, God, that company's got it together. And then finally, and I think almost the guitar that, in a pinch I would probably choose over anything is the small company in New York has been making me Telecasters, and they're called Sadowski, and just perfect guitars, man. So those three companies, every time I pick one up, I'm like, this is my favorite guitar. And I pick up the next one, I'm like, no, this one is. And I run it through the Axe Effects, which the new firmware I just installed yesterday sounds fucking awesome. So I'm kind of over the moon in terms of guitar stuff right now, man. It's like after playing for 35 years or whatever, I'm aware of how fortunate I am to be in this position, but because I am in this position, I'm certainly not going to feel bad about it.
You're like Yojimbo or Clint Eastwood in Fistful of Dollars, like working the three sides of the town to have them all fashion guitars for you.
I'm cool with it, man. I'm cool with it.
What about like production-wise? Has your attitude towards production changed at all, or have you tried new things this time around?
Well, I think that I tried a bunch of different things during the 4 records, but when it came time for Epicloud, I feel like I kind of just pulled out all the stops. I was like, well, you've done this, and you've done this, this is going to achieve this, so do that all.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's almost like you're sort of wiping the slate clean. And with Epicloud, I was very consciously trying to utilize the parts of my world that I knew were effective, as opposed to shying away from them because I've done them before or whatever. I was like, you've spent so many years learning how to do this shit. Do it now. So Epicloud is definitely everything and the kitchen sink, right, in 3-minute rock songs.
So everyone should go out and purchase it when it comes out.
Or if you don't want to purchase it, that's totally cool.
Is there like a special edition with like bonus tracks or something? Or just...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the funny thing is it's like I write so much music that they said, what are you going to do for the bonus track? And I said, well, why don't we just do a double disc? I've got another 10 songs. So the bonus disc is another album, essentially. It's called Epiclouder.
Nice. Well, thanks for hanging out with us and telling us about the new album.
Good to talk to you, man, and thank you for the interview and the support, brother.
Thanks for calling in and just chatting with me and dealing with my dumb questions.
Not dumb at all, man. I'll talk to you next time.
All right, man. Talk to you later, Devin.